Hey everybody, this is Alex Merced from AlexMercedCoder.dev, and this video is all about writing Markdown syntax for GitHub.com READMEs. Okay, so generally, if you've ever noticed that when you go to like GitHub.com, let me actually open up a browser to show you. Okay, I'll let Chrome take a second to open this up. Boop, 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 boop. Okay, but when you go to GitHub.com, the idea is that you'll notice that there's like all these like documents in these code repos that you can read that oftentimes provide documentation on a project. And all they are what's referred to as a Markdown file. Okay, they're basically files with a suffix of MD as the file extension. Okay, so if I go to hit GitHub.com, and we go to like a random repo of mine. So let's see here, I go to my Grok Overflow repo for grokoverflow.com. You'll see like there's this page right here on with some like text that you can read. And this is generally what's the README.md in your repo. Okay, so whatever README.md is in the main page of your repo becomes the main page of sort of the GitHub repo on github.com, generally used to provide documentation. And this MD stands for Markdown, which is a way of writing stuff. Okay, so Markdown syntax. There's lots of websites on basic Markdown syntax. Like right here, we go to markdownguide.org. Okay, but let's actually write some Markdown. Let's actually just go in the VS Code and write some Markdown. Now, generally, to make writing Markdown easier for me, I have certain extensions that I use. So let's go to the extension section, which is not visible right now. So let's see here, extensions. Is it not, or did they change the logo? Git lens. Yeah, no, the extension piece disappeared. Here we go, extensions. Okay, but if I take a look at like extensions that I have for Markdown, some of the extensions that I have already that are really useful are like this one, Markdown Preview Enhanced. There's another one that's like makes it. Yeah, here we go. Markdown Preview GitHub styling. The idea behind this is that it looks like the way it would look like on GitHub. So this is great, especially since I am generally writing Markdown for the purposes of GitHub. Like you can use Markdown a lot of places. It's a really useful thing to know. But most of the time I'm writing it for GitHub. So being able to see the way it looks like on GitHub is very beneficial. Okay, so I have that extension. It's installed. I'll leave it to you if you decide you want to install it. But I can create a Markdown file, so I'll create like a readme.md. Okay, you notice it recognizes that. Now if I close this and I reopen it, okay, generally VS Code will open up a preview window, so you can preview the Markdown. Okay, I think that I forget if that's just built into VS Code or if that's part of the extensions. But you can see here, we'll show you how like a lot of this Markdown syntax works. So for example, if I do a hash, okay, so first we'll just talk about doing headings. Okay, I think 2 slashes are still a comment here, or actually it's just, yeah, I'm not sure what a comment is in Markdown. Okay, but let's say I do a hash, that's a heading. So this would be like a heading of level 1. And then if I did 2 hashes, that'd be a heading level 2. If I did 3 hashes, that'd be a heading level 3. And so forth. Heading level 4, and this goes all the way up to 6, just like H1, H2, H3, H4. Because basically most of the syntax is just an abstraction over writing HTML. Heading level 5. Heading level 6. Okay, so you see I can have these different headings to quickly create like sections of my Markdown. So oftentimes I'll just be like, okay, this will be the title of my Markdown, and then maybe I'll say something like, hey, by me, and then I can just write text. So I can just write text like normal, wonderful, and just talk about whatever I'm talking about. Okay, awesome, cool. Now, with that, just pies things I want to do. Like maybe I want to create a list. Okay, lists. So I should just create a little heading. Lists. Okay, so for example, if I just want a bulleted list, I can just use dashes and just say like, hey, this is a list. And so each bullet, as long as you put a space after the dash, it recognizes that as a bullet in the list. But if I want a numbered list, I would just do that with numbers. Now, I could do this. 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, and number the list manually. Okay, but sometimes I might add things, subtract things from the list, and then I have to renumber everything, and that's kind of really annoying. So to make it even easier, I could just do everything as 1. So watch, if I do 1, 1, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4. Okay, see, it automatically numbered things. But notice in this case, it continued the list from where it was before. There's a couple different ways you can break up the list. Okay, and actually, this should be 1. This should be 1. Okay. But if I put a heading between it, it should break up the list. Hey. And you see that now it's a fresh list. Okay, so you might want to just do like maybe like a small heading, so I can just do like a 6, a 6er. Hey. And then we see we have a new list. Okay, and it starts from counting from 1 again. Okay, so that's how you would do lists. Now what if I want to do like a link to somewhere? Okay, now a link is just basically a square bracket. In the square bracket, I would put the text like this is linking somewhere. And then you would put parentheses after the square brackets, and you'd put the URL to where you're linking to, https www.google.com. Okay, and there is the link. Okay, pretty straightforward, and you can see like how the link shows up right over here. Now, what if I want to put in a picture? Okay, it's the same, almost the same exact syntax. The only difference is you put an exclamation point in the front. That makes it a picture. But otherwise, it's that now this, instead of being the text, because you're going to be showing the picture, becomes the alt text. So we'll say this is a picture. And see, while it's a broken picture, that's what it shows instead. Then I would just go get the picture URL. So we'll say images.google.com. And let's just look up me. Okay, there's a picture of me on the New York Stock Exchange. Copy image address. And if I paste the URL, and look, there I am. How cool. How cool is that? Okay, so see, a picture is pretty easy to insert. Okay, but again, no spaces. So basically, this exclamation point, square brackets with my alt text, parentheses for the link. Okay, how about code blocks? What if you want to show people like code, example code? Okay, it's actually pretty easy. It's just 3 backticks. Okay, so anything here. So if I were to do like console.log, hello world, and you see that shows up as a code block. Nice, with a monospace font. Now the cool thing you can do is you can do syntax highlighting, meaning you can have it syntax in the language. You know, basically color the code block based on the language you're using. So I can, like for JavaScript, I would just type in JS. Okay, and you see it colors that. If it was like Python, I would do Py. There's a whole bunch of them, but in this case, it's JavaScript. But you put whatever language it is after the initial 3 backticks, and you see it colors it out nicely. And that's how you do code blocks. Okay, and code blocks are pretty useful for lots of things. Okay, generally to show like examples of certain code or things like that. Okay, still kind of a few things we want to show. Okay, and then there is tables. Okay, so let's say I want to build out a table. The way that would work is you do a pipe. That's referred to pipe. It's like the straight line. Okay, and I would say, you know, column 1. So this would be the column headings. Column 2. Column 3. And see, right now it's still not being interpreted as a table. It's not until I go to the next line, I use the pipes, and then I use dashes to create this kind of border between the column headings, that now it becomes a table. And now I can go to each line and just say, hey, like, you know, value, 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 and use the pipes to kind of separate each column. Value, value, value. Okay, and so you can make a nice little chart pretty easily. Okay. How awesome is that? So tables are pretty straightforward. Okay, they're not bad at all. And the cool thing is, at the end of the day, you can do pretty much anything. You can still just use standard HTML. So I could just put an H1 in here and say, hello world. Okay. I could do something like an HR to put in a line. Okay, although I think you can also put in a line with like just 3 dashes. Yep, so 3 dashes would also be the equivalent of an HR. Okay. Another really useful HTML tag is, if I always get this one confused, I think it's like details. Okay, yep, details. Now, what this HTML tag does, details, and I'll put the closing tag in there. What it does, it puts some stuff hidden. So if I put here like some text in there, you see you don't see the text on the page, but if I click this little arrow, then the stuff shows up. Okay, and then I think I can use like a summary tag in here. And this is what's going to show up by the arrow. So I'd say, hello, hidden text. So this way you can put like stuff that, maybe like is taking up a lot of space, but you still want to have it in there, but you don't want it taking up all the space all the time, so you want to hide it. You can put it in this details code block, this details element, and then again, you can kind of hide it in that way, which is pretty useful. Okay, I mean, those are generally the main things you can do with Markdown. There's a lot of other syntax in there. So if you were to go over here to like the Markdown cheat sheet, there's stuff for bold. So if you wanted to bold certain text, you would just put like, for example, if I had this paragraph, oops, I want to get rid of all that. This sentence has bold and italic text. You can see they make this bold text. I just put, a couple little asterisks around it and see it becomes bold. Let me scroll down. Okay, actually, maybe give us a few more lines. Okay, oh, I see what happened here. I didn't make this a closing H1. There we go. This sentence has bold text, and you see it because of the asterisks. And then for italics, it would just be a single underscore on each side. Okay, bold and italic text. Okay, and there's a lot of other kind of like ways you can format it. It's bold, italic, block quote. Actually, a block quote's pretty sweet. So if anyone wanted to do something like, hello, this is a, side note of something I want to mention offhand. Okay, it kind of creates like a little bit of an aside. Kind of like, hey, this is just something I'm kind of saying outside of the flow of this document, but I just want to make sure you know it. We did that. We did the link. We did code blocks. We did the table. There's footnotes. I'm not gonna bother with the footnotes. Well, you can even do like tasks lists. Let's actually see how that looks like. Something. Okay, and you see that there, it shows up as I checked it off. Now what happens if it's, if I just put a space if it's not? Yep, there you go. Okay, so you put a space in the middle if it's not done yet. And you see it creates this like little checkbox mark. And it creates a list, little checkboxes you can click on. That's neat. Okay, and there's other ones. Again, you can play with this forever. And again, because you can just use basic HTML in there, you can do all sorts of fun stuff. So I could say, hey, like, hey, H1, H3 class equals green text. And then let's see if I can throw in the style tag in there. Style. And I say something like dot green, color green. Cool. And see, now I have green text. Okay, I can go in there and style the content right there in the document if I really want to. Usually it's not expected. Again, you're just putting out documentation, so the idea is just to put text, so it's mainly just headings and text and some tables and some code blocks. But you can see here, Markdown gives you a really flexible, easy way to kind of create a lot of content, which is why it's really popular for like blogging, note taking, all sorts of stuff outside of just creating documentation on GitHub. But yeah, so hopefully you guys enjoyed that. My name is Alex Merced. Have a great day and enjoy.